From official sources, we know that the greatest villain in human history, Adolf Hitler, shot himself in his bunker on the 30th of April, 1945, and his wife, Eva Braun, took potassium cyanide. But it seems we were deceived. Journalists have found out that on the 28th of April, 1945, Hitler managed to escape from the battle-torn Berlin after all. Few people know that the leader of the USSR, Joseph Stalin, did not believe in Hitler's death until the end of his life. Despite the fact that the so-called remains of the Führer were in the USSR, Stalin was always skeptical about his death. No evidence could convince him otherwise. According to his psychoprofile, Hitler was neither a suicidal type, nor a hysteric, nor a psychopath. He was a cold and calculating person. Stalin was obsessed with the possibility that Hitler might have escaped, not without the help of the Allies. But why did the leader of all peoples come to such a conclusion? It is worth paying special attention to the fact that, after Germany's surrender, the captured Nazi military leaders reported during interrogations that they had stopped receiving orders from Hitler's headquarters after the 22nd of April. Captured officers from Hitler's staff and inner circle said they were surprised by the changes that occurred in the Führer after the bombing of Berlin began. The Führer's face and behavior changed, and he hardly left his office. But none of them thought that they were already dealing with another person, Adolf Hitler's double, who had occasionally replaced the Führer after the assassination attempt on him in Wolf's Lair. Historians claim that it was his corpse that was found and taken for Hitler's. But let's go in order. English historians Simon Dunstan and Gerard Williams conducted an independent investigation. For 5 years, they traveled around the world, sifting through mountains of evidence, documents, interviewing eyewitnesses, and finally became convinced of a terrible fact that goes far beyond the official history. In 1945, one of the greatest villains of the era managed to hide in Argentina. The escape of the century was organized by Martin Bormann, the historians claim. Bormann was the most cunning and enigmatic person in the leadership of Nazi Germany. He was the head of the party chancellery and Hitler's personal secretary. By 1943, when Bormann realized that the war was lost, he began planning Operation Eagle Flight to move the stolen gold, precious stones, and other valuables to safe havens around the world. Bormann's second operation, codenamed Tierra del Fuego, aimed to provide a secure refuge for Hitler and his inner circle so they could lead the revival of Germany and Nazism after the war. Bormann chose Patagonia, a vast and almost uninhabited region in southern Argentina. Germans had settled there for a long time. It was essentially a German colony in Latin America. Moreover, in 1943, a coup took place in Argentina, as a result of which Juan Domingo Perón, who sympathized with the Nazis, came to power. It was to this country that Bormann directed the stolen gold flow. Only gold worth $50 billion at current prices, Dunstan and Williams claim. Martin was helped by SS Gruppenführer Heinrich Müller, the head of the Gestapo in the Third Reich. Another assistant was SS Gruppenführer Hermann Fegelein, an old friend of Bormann and Eva Braun's brother-in-law. At midnight on the 28th of April, 1945, Operation Tierra del Fuego entered its decisive phase. Hitler, Eva Braun, Bormann, Fegelein, and 6 loyal SS men disguised themselves in hooded cloaks and quietly left the famous Führer's bunker through a secret passage in the subway tunnel. The 7-kilometer underground passage took 3 hours. Upon exiting at the main entrance of the Fehrbelliner Platz station, the fugitives saw 3 Tiger II tanks and 2 Sturmkommandants. 251 half-track armored personnel carriers waiting for them to take them to a temporary airstrip at Hohenzollern-Damm, a kilometer away, but without Bormann. The leader of Operation Tierra del Fuego had unfinished business in the Führer's bunker. At the airstrip, the Hitler Group was awaited by a Ju-52 aircraft piloted by SS Hauptsturmführer Peter Baumgart. The Ju-52 took the fugitives to the airfield of the Danish town of Tønder. It is worth noting that in 1947, Baumgart, in his testimony at a court in Poland, admitted that he personally took Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun out of Germany on the eve of their alleged suicide. None of those present in the courtroom took the German pilot's statement seriously. Surprisingly, note the English journalists, but no one even tried to trace the fate of Peter Baumgart himself. And after his release in 1951 from the Mokotów prison in Warsaw, he simply disappeared from sight. From Tønder, the group flew on another Junkers to the German Luftwaffe base at Travemünde. From there, on a third plane, to the Spanish Air Force base in the town of Reus, 110 kilometers from Barcelona. The Spaniards later dismantled that plane to cover their tracks and not give the Western Allies a reason to accuse dictator Franco of aiding Hitler's escape. From Reus, a Spanish Air Force plane took the fugitives to the top-secret Nazi facility, Casa Winter, located on one of the Canary Islands. Meanwhile, in Berlin, Bormann and Müller were covering their tracks. In the underground Führer's bunker, they placed doubles of the leader and his mistress. The Gestapo's secret services found Adolf Hitler's double as early as 1941. He turned out to be a certain Gustav Weber, who worked in a printing house in the Polish city of Breslau, a native of Austria, a very distant relative of Hitler, unaware of his kinship with the Führer. One day, Gustav Weber disappeared and became the only student of a secret university. In an atmosphere of complete secrecy, the double underwent a special course, studying only one subject, the life and habits of Adolf Hitler. Weber was made to quit smoking, lose extra kilograms, and was taught Hitler's gait, emotional expressions, public speaking mannerisms, daily habits, and all the nuances of his behavior. The only detail that could give away the substitution was Weber's hand. Occasionally, it was gripped by uncontrollable tremors. None of the Führer's inner circle, except Bormann and Müller, knew about the existence of the double. The name of Eva Braun's double is unknown. They found her among the troupe of young actresses that Goebbels kept for his own pleasure. Eva and the actress were very similar. Plus, makeup artists and hairdressers worked on her. By the end of the war, Weber was replacing Hitler more and more often. Returning to the bunker, the cunning Bormann organized the famous wedding of the doubles. When he received a message that the Nazi leader was in a safe place, Weber was shot point blank. Eva's double and the sheepdog Blondie were poisoned. The bodies were taken to the surface and buried. Soon, Soviet soldiers would find them. But let's return to Hitler. The top-secret Casa Winter base was located on an uninhabited island. Bormann created a one-time facility in 1943, specifically as the main transportation hub for the Führer's escape and his inner circle. Here, the Hitlers and the sheepdog transferred to the submarine U-518. They faced a long journey of 8,500 kilometers to Latin America. On the night of the 28th of July, 1945, the submarine reached Argentina. The fugitives spent the night at the Miramar Villa, and the next morning, on an Argentine Air Force biplane, flew to the San Ramon Ranch. At that time, the Germans completely controlled all approaches to the city of San Carlos de Bariloche, near which the ranch was located. No one could enter or leave this territory without the official permission of the local Nazi leaders. Hitler and Eva lived here for 8 months. In March 46, the ranch workers were told that the guests had tragically died in a car accident. Their bodies, they said, were burned beyond recognition. In reality, the couple was transferred to an even more secure hideout, the Analco Mansion. This secluded mansion is located at the foot of the Andes, on a remote shore of Lake Nahuel Huapi. On the surrounding forested hills, Nazi observation posts controlled all approaches by land, water, and air. Until October 1955, the Inalco Ranch was Hitler's main residence. In 1948, Bormann and Müller appeared in Argentina, having completed all their secret affairs in Europe. Hitler's wife, Eva, was very sad in this seclusion. She was a cheerful and carefree woman who loved noisy company. Such a lifestyle was not for her. Her beloved Adolf, once so radiant among his fawning companions, was now constantly ill. His former grandeur faded in the solitude of rural life and the care of 2 small children. Yes, the English journalists claim that the Führer had offspring. Therefore, for Eva, feeling her youth slipping away, her husband probably became poor company. In 1954, she finally left her husband, moving with the children from Inalco to the town of Neuquén. Bormann's post-war organization, consisting of former SS men, constantly kept an eye on her. After the coup in Argentina in 1955, when Juan Perón fled the country, Bormann moved Hitler to the small estate La Clara in a remote corner of Patagonia, leaving him with his personal physician, Otto Lehmann, and a former non-commissioned officer, Heinrich Bette, as a servant. On the 12th of February, 1962, Hitler had a stroke. The left side of his body was paralyzed. Soon, he fell into a coma. On the 13th of February, 1962, at 3 in the afternoon, Dr. Lehmann confirmed the absence of any signs of life in the patient. The former dictator was just short of 73 years old. As for Bormann and Müller, it is known that in 1980, they were still living in Argentina. When and where they died, there is no data anywhere. Both Nazis were skilled at covering their tracks. Nothing is known about Eva Braun and her daughters either. Eva is hardly still alive. She would be over 100 years old now, and the Führer's heirs may still be living in Argentina or somewhere in another country.